for our segment with Dr. Jaimie Ronchetto from Cinema Veterinary Center, located in beautiful downtown Valencia on Cinema Drive. It's amazing how those two things are connected. So I don't know if you noticed, Doctor, that we had a couple of big fires last month.
We have.
And noticed also the Sage Fire earlier in July had some evacuation centers set up, but it was relatively done within that day. I mean, there was some things, but the Sand Fire, on the other hand, had many more evacuations, including pets, including equestrian animals and everything like that. But I want to talk a little bit about having the plan. We talk about our family plan and what are you going to do if we're not here and how do we connect? We all have our meetup, but what about our pets and how easy is it to evacuate our little dogs and cats and even our smaller pets such as guinea pigs, hamsters, and everything else?
Right. Yes, just like you have a family plan, you should have a plan in place for them. Try to think of every scenario that you can possibly come across, because you never know when disaster is going to strike. Certainly dogs and cats are a little bit easier. You can have some sort of carrier, set up, sort of at the ready. You should have at least a small sort of emergency kit for them that you can kind of swoop up and take with them when you go. And just try to plan early. Don't wait to the last minute. You hear that all the time, that people just wait too long and then it's the big panic to get everybody out. So just don't wait and go early, and it'll make it a lot easier. So dogs should always be on leashes. Cats should be in carriers. Anything other small pocket pets should be in their carriers too. Bring lots of food and water for them. And they're going to be scared too. So trying to keep them calm. Bring a blanket to maybe put over the carrier so they don't see as much if you have to be out. Otherwise, just make sure that they are somewhere safe and cool if it's hot out.
Well, this is important. One thing I did say, because during this whole process, especially the Sand Fire, we're reporting on it so often, and I'm thinking my carriers are all up in my rafters in the garage, out of the way. And I was saying, even if you're even remotely near the area or see smoke where you're at, just bring all that stuff down and have it ready.
Yeah.
In a lot of cases, in my case, I think I have 3 of them. They're not easy just to leave in the house somewhere. So those are things. I want to talk also, you mentioned keeping your pets calm, but sometimes even just trying to get them into the carriers. I used to have a cat. She was 6 pounds, but somehow she could spread herself out. And it was like, and like a little Tasmanian devil inside the carrier. So those are some of the things I want to talk a little bit too about. If you are sent to an evacuation center and you don't have friends to stay with, and especially there are some hotels here in town that are pet friendly, but not all.
Right.
Evacuation centers won't let you usually keep the pets with you, but they usually have an area set up for pet care.
Right. That's absolutely right. And it just depends on the place that you're at. Every place is a little bit different. But they may have a separate area for your pets. And they're trying to, keep everything organized and keep everybody safe. So being able to have your pet used to the carrier is certainly a plus. And, I've certainly talked about that before with just travel with your pets. To have them used to the travel container or carrier that they're in makes it a lot easier. So this is that same kind of instance where if they're used to where they're at and that's their safe place to begin with, then it makes everything much easier.
So crate training is puppies.
Crate training, yes.
We have, I don't know if Otis will still do it, but he used to be able to say time out and he'd go straight into his, and I used to be able to, and that's something that you can train even with some treats and things like that and get that going. And it is a good idea. Cats, again, though, not really that easy to crate train, but they can get used to, but still once you get them in there, they're at least a little bit easier to transport.
Right, yeah. I see it all the time at work. The cats are really hard to get in the first place, but then once they're at the vet and I'm done with my exam, and it's certainly very easy to get them back in.
Exactly.
It's like they sense that that's how they're going to be safe.
Yeah,
go back home.
And I'm going to go back home now. Perfect. So these are things to think about. And of course, also having things like medications at the ready. Also maybe even having a list ready just in case you can't get there and someone else, if you're on vacation and someone else has to evacuate on your behalf, you got a house sitter or you're calling a friend. We had that happen once years ago when we lived in Saugus. And so those are things kind of to think about as well. And we didn't think about that there was going to be a fire when we were on vacation. Fortunately, it was a short-term evacuation, and just within a couple hours, I think they kept our dog at their house. But really need to think about those things too, right?
Right, absolutely. You should always have a plan in place. You should have at least one backup person to be able to have access to your house to get your pets out if you aren't there. And you need to think about how your pet may react to that, because in some instances, especially in a natural disaster situation where they sense that something's going on, if the fire is really that close, they're going to be scared and more panicky. So even a family member or a friend that they know and they're used to, I've certainly heard of the situations where they go in to try to help the dog, and the dog's having nothing to do with it because they're too scared. So,
and I don't know you, where are you taking me?
Right,
Exactly.
they may become more aggressive than usual. They may try to escape. So, thinking about all of those things that could happen.
And maybe bringing them over, kind of getting them familiarized with the person that
yes.
they could be. But yeah, you're right. Yeah. So this is interesting stuff, because we are definitely not out of fire season yet, and these are things to think about. So Dr. Jaimie Ronchetto, Cinema Veterinary Center, cinemavet.com. And the number is
661-253-9300.